Math starts getting a little more fun now. If you were bored to start off with this right here, children, is going to make you go home and when your parents ask you what you learned from school, you will say, you know, I learned so much mathematics, it wasn't fun. Okay. Topic number 1 is rate. Rate. And the generic definition of said fair rate is a division relationship between two measurements. Wow, that's exciting. Division, did I say comparison? A division relationship between two measures. Relationship between two measures. And an example, you can make anything a rate. You can do, 20 problems per. That word per, that fraction line is usually, when we talk rates, we usually say the word per just because we're comparing those two. 20 problems per 5 minutes. That is a rate. You're comparing how many problems you do to the time it takes you. Good question. To do that. You could have, you could go 300 miles and use, 6 gallons of gas, which we usually call miles per gallon. What else could we do? You could do, in the case of Charles, you could do 3 soccer goals per half, per game. Charlie, did you score 3 soccer goals yesterday?
No.
Oh, you can still score from the defensive end, can't you? Keep it all the way in.
Brian takes this.
Brian, there. All right.
Right.
In the store, you go and buy stuff. They give you the rates for the cost of something. Usually the rates for cost is in what? You go up there and you buy a box of cereal, there's a little tag on the bottom. It tells you the price of the box of cereal, but then in the little numbers underneath, it tells you how many cents per ounce. It'll go 15 cents per ounce. Usually it probably just says, it probably doesn't do it in fraction form, it probably does that there. Now, here's something you must understand. When the book asks you for unit rate, that is not great. It's a bigger serve. Unit rate. When you are asked for unit rate, that means you are changing the rate so that it's whatever comparison compared to 1. Okay, unit rate means a 1 has to be on the bottom. For example, usually when we talk about rates, we use their unit thing. I wouldn't say your rate is 20 problems per minute. I would reduce that so there's 20 problems per 5 minutes. I would reduce it so it's how many problems per 1 minute, just because that's easier to understand. 20 problems per 5 minutes is the same as 4 problems per 1 minute. But we would just say 4 problems per minute. Or when you talk about gas mileage of a car, you don't say my car goes 300 miles for 6 gallons. You usually reduce that and you say my car gets 50, right, 6 under that, miles per gallon. And a lot of times we'll actually abbreviate it as MPG. These two are already given in unit rate. But if you're asked for the unit rate, it is always how many, whatever. Unit rate. How about that? What did they ask us? Well, let's do an example problem. Driving at an average speed of 55 miles per hour. Driving at 55 mph. How far will the driver travel in 6 hours? How far in 6 hours? Well, again, I might draw this out just so I know what to do. Usually people know you're gonna multiply or divide. Yes, 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 but if you do this, and you go, okay, this person goes 55 miles in 1 hour. In another hour, it's gonna go another 55 miles. That's 2 hours, he's gonna go 110 miles. In 3 hours, he's gonna go another thing. Is this multiplication or division, would you suppose? You're gonna have 655, so it's going to be 55 times 6, which is, what, 330 miles? So sometimes you have to kind of jot that down and write it out. Now, unless you thought that was the end of the road. Oh wait, let's do it. The little next section here is, ready? Hold your breath. One of my most favorite of all things to talk about. Measures, I don't know why they call it this, of central, anybody? Tendency. I just say yikes. Okay. This deals with when you have a group of numbers. And let's just say, for example, we're talking about Brady's quizzes on his math. Let's say Brady has 5 math quizzes, which he gets, the first one he does well, he gets 100. Then he gets a 90, and he gets another 100. And then Brady's staying up too late to watch the Detroit Tigers lose every game they play.
Oh, come on, let's go.
He gets 2 80s, so he drops off his grade there. Okay. When you have those numbers there are certain measures of central tendency. The book talks about 4 of them that you need to know. And they are these, as best I can explain them. They are the mode, the median, the mean, and the range. Mode, median, mean, and range. Now, generally speaking, when you talk about these measures of central tendency, the first thing you should do is what, River? Yes, arrange the numbers from least to greatest. From least to greatest. Now you don't have to for some of them, but it's just a good idea to do it. So if we're looking at Brady's scores over here, we will rewrite this as 80, 80, 90, 100, 100. Das ist gut. Das ist very good. Now, does anybody remember what the mode is? Because I think we talked about it before. I always look at the first 2 letters because the mode is the number that shows up the most. Mode is the most. And if you look at your group of numbers, oh wait, did I do something wrong? No. Yes, no. In this case, because 80 and 100 showed up the most, we call it bimodal. So they both would be the mode. 80 and 100. If no number repeats, then it has no mode. Okay? You could be bimodal. I guess you could be trimodal. They generally don't do that sort of thing. Everybody good with that? The median, ladies and gentlemen, just like it sounds, if you're driving in a car and you see a median, what is the median? Median is in the middle between the 2 roads, and that's what a median, when you talk about these numbers, is the number in the middle. Okay? And when you're talking about the middle, okay, that's why you have to range from least to greatest. you need to count how many numbers you have, and in this case I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You hope for an odd number of numbers because there's an exact middle in an odd number of numbers. But in this case, the exact middle is 90 because there's 2 numbers on either side of it. 90 is my median. Now, what would happen if you had an even number, Samuel? Let's say that Brady had another 100 over here. We know that's probably highly unlikely, but what would you say? What happens now? Because this doesn't have a middle, the exact middle actually falls right here between 90 and 100. If there's no exact middle, you need to, Kendall? Yeah, you need to average these two. You add the 2 numbers that are in the middle, oh look, which is 190 divided by 2. You probably could figure it out, it's 95 in that case. If in fact Brady did get another 100, it would be a 95. That would be the middle. If it's even, you have to average. If it's odd, it'll be a piece of cake. The mean, you've already done before. Mean is the same thing as average. And as a reminder, how do you find average of things? You add all numbers and divide. Add and divide. Get rid of this last 100 here. Fortunately for this, it should be pretty easy for us. In this case here, 100 plus 100 is 200, 290, 270, 450 is my total. I divide that by numbers, I'm going to get 90. Okay, that worked out pretty easy, didn't I? And then home on the proverbial range. What is the range? Samuel?
The difference between the biggest and smallest.
Difference between big and small. Difference between big and small. Which just means you subtract the smallest one from the biggest one. 100 minus 80 is 20. 100 minus 80 is 20. Those would be your modes of central, or your measures of central tendency. Now, if you do me a flag, you just